The rain didn't care that she was pregnant. It soaked through her thin cotton dress as she stood on the porch, suitcase at her feet, one hand pressed against her swollen belly. The front door had already closed behind her. Locked. Final. No one had yelled. No one had to. Her mother-in-law's voice still echoed in her head, cold and surgical. You're no longer part of this family. Leave. Elena's knees wanted to buckle, but she forced herself to stay upright. She could feel the baby shifting inside her, oblivious to the fact that they no longer had a home. Her husband, Marcus, hadn't even come downstairs. He'd let his mother do it. Let them all watch as she was erased. She looked back once. Through the rain-streaked window, she saw Marcus standing in the hallway. Their eyes met for just a second. Then he turned away. That was the moment she understood. She had never really mattered. Elena picked up her suitcase and walked into the storm. Before we continue, if stories like Elena's move you, stories of women fighting through impossible moments, please take a second to like this video and subscribe. It helps us share more of these journeys. Thank you for being here. 3 months earlier, everything had looked fine. At least, that's what Elena told herself every morning when Marcus kissed her forehead before heading to work. He was distant, yes. Distracted. But wasn't everyone stressed? His family business was growing. His mother had strong opinions. Marriage took compromise. She'd learned to smile through Sunday dinners at the family estate, even when Marcus's mother made small comments about her background, such humble beginnings. Or when his sister whispered too loudly about how quickly the wedding had happened. Elena didn't come from money. She'd worked as a teacher before marrying Marcus. His family had made it clear from the start, she was lucky to be there. When she got pregnant, she thought things would change. She thought a baby would soften them, bring her closer to Marcus. Instead, he pulled further away. He stopped touching her stomach. Stopped asking how she felt. At night, he stayed on his side of the bed, facing the wall. When she tried to talk about baby names, he'd murmur something vague and check his phone. His mother's visits became more frequent, more invasive. And then one afternoon, Elena found the jewelry box tucked in Marcus's dresser drawer, a diamond bracelet she'd never seen him wear. The card inside was signed, "Forever yours, L." Her hands had trembled as she read it. But she didn't confront him. Not yet. She wanted to believe there was an explanation. The explanation came 2 weeks later. Elena was folding laundry in the bedroom when Marcus's phone buzzed on the nightstand. She glanced at it, just a reflex, and saw the name. Lillian. His mother's name was Margaret. His sister was Claire. Who was Lillian? Her chest tightened. She told herself not to look. But her hands moved anyway, unlocking his phone with the passcode he'd never bothered to change. The messages loaded. I miss you. When are you leaving her? The baby doesn't change anything. You promised. Elena's breath stopped. She scrolled further. Months of messages. Photos. Plans for a future that didn't include her. Lillian wasn't just someone Marcus knew. She was someone his family approved of, a woman from their social circle, polished and connected, everything Elena wasn't. And Marcus had been with her the entire time. When Marcus came home that evening, Elena was sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in hand. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just held it up. Who is Lillian? His face went blank. Then hard. You went through my phone? Answer me. He sighed, like she was exhausting him. It's complicated, Elena. Complicated. You wouldn't understand. Her voice cracked. I'm carrying your child. Marcus looked at her, really looked at her, and for a moment, she thought she saw regret. Then he shook his head. That was a mistake, he said quietly. We both know it. The family meeting happened the next morning. Marcus's mother sat at the head of the dining table, flanked by his father and sister. Marcus stood near the window, arms crossed, refusing to meet Elena's eyes. No one asked her to sit. This marriage, Margaret began, her voice calm and clinical, was clearly a mistake. You trapped my son with a pregnancy, but we will not allow you to ruin his future. Elena's throat burned. I didn't trap anyone. You have no place here, Margaret continued, as if she hadn't spoken. We'll arrange a quiet separation. You'll sign the papers. Leave without drama. In return, we'll provide a modest settlement. What about the baby? The child will be raised properly, by people who can provide stability. Elena's stomach dropped. You want to take my baby? We want what's best for the child, Marcus's father said. And that's not a struggling single mother with no family, no resources, and no name. Elena looked at Marcus. Say something. He stared at the floor. Marcus. Still nothing. Margaret stood. You have until tomorrow morning to pack your things and leave. If you refuse, we'll make this much harder for you. Elena's voice shook. You can't do this. We already have. Elena spent her first night in a motel off the highway. The room smelled like mildew and old smoke. The mattress sagged in the middle. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her reflection in the darkened TV screen. She looked hollow. Her phone had been blowing up all day. Messages from Marcus's lawyer, Marcus's mother, even Marcus's sister, each one colder than the last. They wanted her signature. They wanted her gone. She thought about calling her own family, but the shame was too thick. Her parents had warned her about marrying too quickly, about people like the Hayes family. She hadn't listened. And now she had nothing. No job. No savings. No home. Just a suitcase, a dying phone, and a baby she didn't know how to protect. Elena pressed a hand to her belly and whispered, I'm sorry. The baby kicked. She closed her eyes, trying not to cry, but the tears came anyway, silent, exhausting, endless. Outside, the rain had started again. If you believe Elena deserves a chance, if you believe in the power of resilience, please like this video and subscribe. Stories like this need to be told. We'll be right back.
Elena woke to sunlight slicing through the motel curtains. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then reality settled back in, heavy, suffocating. She sat up slowly, her body aching, her mind numb. She needed to move, needed to do something. She grabbed her coat and walked to the small convenience store 2 blocks away. The morning air was cold and sharp. Her feet hurt. Everything hurt. Inside the store, she bought a bottle of water and a protein bar with the last few dollars in her wallet. As she turned to leave, she nearly tripped over something on the floor near the entrance. A leather bag. Brown, worn, half hidden beneath a newspaper rack. Elena glanced around. The store was empty except for the clerk, who was absorbed in his phone. No one seemed to be looking for it. She hesitated, then picked it up. It was heavier than she expected. Her hands trembled as she unzipped it, just a peek, just to see if there was an ID, a name, something that could help her return it. What she saw made her heart stop. Cash, stacks of it, bundled in thick, neat rows. Elena's breath caught. She zipped the bag shut quickly, her pulse hammering in her ears. She looked around again, still no one watching. She should turn it in, she knew she should, but as she stood there, bag clutched to her chest, one thought cut through everything else. This could save us. She walked out of the store. Her hands shook the entire way back to the motel. She locked the door, pulled the curtains shut, and opened the bag on the bed. $5 million. She counted it 3 times, disbelieving. Crisp $100 bills, all unmarked. No note, no name, just money. Enough to disappear, to start over, to give her baby a life. But it wasn't hers. Elena sat on the floor, staring at the bag. Every moral fiber in her body screamed at her to do the right thing, to report it, to be the person she'd always tried to be. But that person had been thrown out in the rain. She pressed her hands to her face, tears streaming. "Forgive me," she whispered.
Elena vanished. She left the motel that night, took a bus to another state, and started over with a new name, Ella Moore. She rented a small apartment in a quiet town where no one asked questions. She paid in cash, lived modestly, and kept her head down. The money was hidden in a storage unit across town. She only took what she needed when she needed it. 3 months later, her daughter was born. Elena held her in the hospital room alone and wept, not from sadness, but from overwhelming, terrifying love. She named her Grace. Raising Grace became her entire world. Elena worked part-time at a bookstore, volunteered at a community center, and slowly rebuilt a life from nothing. She didn't buy expensive things, didn't draw attention. She saved most of the money for Grace's future: college, security, freedom. Years passed. Grace grew into a bright, curious little girl with her mother's eyes and her father's stubborn chin. Elena told her stories at night, taught her to be kind, to work hard, to never take anything for granted. She never mentioned Marcus, never spoke of the family that had thrown them away. But she never forgot. Elena became someone new, stronger, quieter, unshakable. She learned to trust herself, to forgive herself, to believe that maybe, just maybe, she deserved the second chance she'd taken. Still, some nights, she'd lie awake and wonder if she'd made the right choice, if karma would come for her. It happened on a Tuesday. Elena was walking Grace home from school when she saw him. Marcus. He was standing outside a coffee shop, older now, thinner, his face lined with exhaustion. He looked diminished. Their eyes met. Elena froze. Grace tugged her hand. "Mama? Are you okay?" Elena forced herself to breathe. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Keep walking." But Marcus had already seen her, recognized her. He crossed the street. "Elena." Her voice was ice. "My name is Ella." He blinked confused, then glanced down at Grace. His face went pale. "Is she?" "She's mine," Elena said firmly. "And you need to leave." "Wait, please." He looked desperate, broken. "I've been looking for you. 4 years." "Why?" Marcus hesitated. "Everything fell apart. Lillian left me. The business collapsed. My family. They're gone. My mother died 2 years ago. My father's in a care facility. I lost everything." Elena felt nothing. "I was wrong," he continued, voice cracking. "I should have protected you. Should have fought for you. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need you to know, I'm sorry. And if that's my daughter." "She's not yours to claim," Elena said quietly. "You gave up that right the day you let them throw me out." "I was a coward." "You still are." Grace looked up at her mother, sensing the tension. Elena squeezed her hand gently. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "Please. I have nothing left. I wanted to see if you were okay." Elena studied him, this man who had once held all the power, who had destroyed her without hesitation. And now he stood before her, powerless. "I'm better than okay," she said. "We both are." She turned and walked away. Marcus didn't follow. Elena never saw Marcus again. But 6 months later, she received a letter. It was from Marcus's sister, Claire. The handwriting was shaky, desperate. The letter explained everything. How the family had fallen apart after Margaret's death, how Marcus had spiraled into depression and debt, how Claire herself had lost her home and was now working 2 jobs just to survive. She wrote, "I know we don't deserve your sympathy. But I need you to understand, we were wrong. My mother was cruel. Marcus was weak. And I stood by and let it happen. I've spent every day since regretting it. If you're out there, if you're safe, if the baby is healthy, that's all I can hope for. I'm sorry, Elena. I'm so sorry." Elena read the letter twice, then folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. She didn't respond. Not out of cruelty, but because some apologies don't require acknowledgement. Some wounds close on their own. Justice, she realized, wasn't about revenge. It was about watching the people who hurt you face the consequences of their own choices, while you stood steady, whole, and free. She thought about the money sometimes. Where it had come from. Who it might have belonged to. And she made a decision. Over the next 5 years, Elena quietly donated half of it, anonymously, to shelters for pregnant women, programs for single mothers, and scholarships for children in need. It didn't erase what she'd done, but it gave the money a purpose. Grace turned 10 on a bright Sunday morning in May. Elena made pancakes, and they ate breakfast on their small balcony overlooking the park. Grace talked excitedly about her birthday party later that afternoon. Her friends, the cake, the games. Elena watched her daughter's face, glowing with joy, and felt something settle deep in her chest. Peace. Not the fragile kind that shatters easily, but the kind built from surviving the unthinkable and choosing, every single day, to keep going. Grace looked up. "Mama, why are you smiling like that?" Elena reached over and brushed a strand of hair from her daughter's face. "Because I'm proud of us." "Us?" "Yeah. You and me. We've come a long way." Grace grinned. "We're a good team. The best." Later that evening, after the party, after Grace had fallen asleep clutching a stuffed bear from her best friend, Elena stood by the window and looked out at the quiet street. She thought about the girl who'd been thrown out in the rain, broken and terrified. She thought about the choices she'd made, some right, some wrong, all of them hers. And she realized something she hadn't known back then. You don't need permission to survive. You don't need approval to rebuild. You just need to believe that you, and the people you love, are worth fighting for. Elena closed her eyes and whispered into the stillness. "We made it." And in the soft glow of the streetlights, the world felt a little gentler. Thank you for being here with Elena and Grace. If this story touched you, please subscribe and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, or how stories like this make you feel. We're all healing together. Until next time.